All right. Hidden Island. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How's it going, Si?
Doing pretty good. Finally I got you here. The legendary theorist himself, and it's crazy because like I've told you this before, but like I feel like we have the same friend group in a way when it comes to the One Piece community. So I've seen your name floating around, and I'm just glad to finally have you here, man.
Absolutely. No, ever since I've seen you like doing the regular chapter reviews with Par, I was like, I have to talk to Si at some point, get something going. I haven't done like really any collabs for like the last I don't even know, like 8 months. So like when you hit me up, I was like, yeah, let's do it.
You're like, what's a collab again?
Yeah, I was like, what's that?
What is that? Is it talking to people?
Yeah. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me on. For those that don't know me, I'm the Yapping Island.
The Yapping Island.
Sometimes, yeah.
Hey, so just to break the ice a little bit, here's a good question for you. What is your least favorite race in One Piece?
I have to say the long arms, probably. I think they just look weird. They're very uncomfortable visually for me. Just to have like two joints in your arm, I'm sure they're good people, but like, in terms of how they're drawn. I mean, look, the long arm tribe, at least in Brooks' time skip, they weren't good people. But like, well, I can't even use Apu as an example. He's not a great guy either. Regardless, avoiding the statistics here, I'm just going to look at the long arm tribe and just say, I don't like how they look. I don't like the long arms, okay? It's like some Slender Man. That's like some Slender Man shit. It freaks me out.
Like, the only long arm that I find pretty acceptable is Hideo, and he hides them, dude. He hides, like, that extra limb, too, with that shoulder pad.
That looks
even
cool,
he knows. Yeah.
Yeah, like, he looks cool. He actually, like... He's got that, like, it looks like armor almost. It's pretty sick.
Yeah, you almost, like, don't even notice it. I thought it was like a boombox when we first saw him.
Yeah.
I was like, what is he sporting? Yeah, it's like, it's like, what is it, like Hitmonlee or something?
Yeah, he looks like Hitmonchan. He's got some shoulder pads on. He's ready to duff. He's ready to go all,
The way he fights is kind of similar to Hitmonchan, too. Just nothing but punches.
Yeah. I respect that. As a boxer, I respect that. That's the type of character I'm here for.
Yeah. Dude, you're like a kindred spirit. Like you said, you don't like the long arms, and I was like, wow, me too. Dude, it's strange, is it not? Like the body anatomy, it's not like it's not like symmetrical, but like what is it like? It's disproportionate. It feels weird.
Yeah. It's more so just the fact that like I don't know. I just think the human brain is not ready to see an arm bend at two different locations like that. Like that just looks, there's something about. I guess that kind of happens with your wrist. 3 different locations. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, it would be weird to fight one of those guys too. Like imagine you just try to hit them, and then all of a sudden their arm just bends back. It's like, whoa, what the hell?
Yeah, they got like a 30-foot wingspan. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's insane. Yeah, I mean, for me, like, long arms, long legs, but I'm also not a fan of giants, which is kind of ironic since we're here on Elbaph. Yeah. But, I'm ready to turn my racism around. Why aren't you a fan of
giants? What's wrong with them?
Kind of the same thing about, like, long arms, but to a greater extent. Like, they're just too big,
So you have the Napoleon complex? Is that what's going on?
Hey, Napoleon complex.
Just the size thing?
It's the size. Even the small people, right? Like, it's not just, like, big people. It's the tontadas, too. Like just too big, too small. It's odd, but
you would. Yeah,
man.
If you were in the club with your girl and a giant came in and like, put his arm around there, like, what are you doing about that, right? Is that like the self-conscious thing, like coming in there? Is that why you don't like giants?
Would it even be self-conscious? Like how would he put the arm around it? Like would it be like his pinky? Like
he puts his hand. He just puts his hand like it's like his thumb and forefinger like around her shoulders like that.
It would be like a house at that point, right?
Yeah.
Quite literally like pitching a tent in a different way. Yeah, it's like pitching a tent. He's the new club.
This is great.
Yeah, when I think of a giant, it just have you watched The Boys?
Yeah,
it reminds me of like when that guy like crawled in his cock and just like
when he went in there, he was going cave diving.
Yeah, it was like episode 1, which is crazy.
They got something like that in One Piece too, right?
Do they?
It's in the background. Oda hid that. Yeah, that Big Mom has a Tontada kid?
Oh, yeah. She has like a Tontada, like half human, half Tontada kid.
He has a half Tontada child. How'd that work?
Hey, we don't ask those questions.
That's what. Yeah. That's something you don't want to think about. Oda doesn't want to think about that either. That's why he relegated that to a side character. He didn't make. There's a reason he didn't make the Charlotte Tontada, a major character, because people would be questioning that.
That must have taken a long time to like really, hit the egg.
Yeah, dude was in Nutty Putty Cave.
Yeah. Oh my God, Nutty Putty Cave. What a horrible adventure, man. I hate reading stories about those cave divers, those splunkers, because it's like, dude, I feel like 9 out of 10 stories, they always die.
Yeah, rest in peace to the guy. I mean, it's a horrible situation. I just don't even understand what compels someone to squeeze into a crevice in a rock that's like this big. Like, what compels you to, there's better things to do.
Yeah.
I'll just tell to all my cave divers out there, I'll tell you right now, there's a million caves out there that you're never going to explore. This one you can just leave untouched. There's no reason to go in there. You're not going to find anything new. You're not going to find anything interesting. You're going to find more rocks, and possibly you're going to die. So don't bother.
It's an overused meme, but like whenever I hop on Twitter, somebody's always like quote retweeting. They're like, oh, like the best part about this is that you never have to go there. Like you never have to go into a cave. Actually, like it's perfect.
Yeah, it's like not necessary. No one's asking you to go into Nutty Putty Cave. Okay, no one asked the Tontada to go cave diving, but he did. And
well, maybe he was in love with Big Mom, right? Because some of the husbands do like Big Mom a lot.
Yeah, they do. I mean, maybe in her better days, maybe in her younger days. I don't know. I don't know now if anyone really cares for Big Mom. I think she's just kind of grotesque at the current moment in time.
If you could fall in love with one Piece character, just
Robin.
Wow, you had that ready. You've been thinking about that for a while.
I've been thinking about that my whole life.
That's fair.
Ever since I met Nico Robin, I was like, this is the one. That's my queen right there.
Pre-time skip Robin for me was it, like the bangs and everything, like the dark leather jacket she had at Enies Lobby. It was perfect.
I've been ready for that question, Si. I was waiting for someone to ask me that. You were the first one.
Hey, Robin's a good answer. I love the dark humor. I love that it's coming back into play too, because last chapter they're like, oh, where'd the Straw Hats go? And she was like, oh, you know what? I think they got eaten by giant fish. And it's like, okay, that's perfect.
No, I really like her. I like her dark humor. I like how precious she can be, where she's like, she had this horrible past, but now that she's like grown into her own among the Straw Hats, she's shown this more colorful, cute side to her personality. I like that, where she was crying over like the dragon that Kanjuro drew.
Yeah.
When they were climbing those, like she has that kind of like that
Ryunosuke.
Cute, Ryunosuke. She has that cute part of her personality. It grew on me a lot. I mean, I always like Robin, but especially post time skip. Big fan.
So are you like looking forward to Saul, like that reunion?
Yeah. 100%.
It's gonna be emotional,
I think that's
man.
Gonna be emotional. Yeah, for real.
So for Saul, why do you think Oda has constantly hit his figure? Because like we've only been getting like back shots of Saul, right? Like, oh, here's Saul's arm, here's Saul's like the hair. It's like what are we like? Is his face messed up? Is he gonna look like the Hunchback of Notre Dame?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, thinking about the Saul back shots, he definitely. Yeah, I mean, he definitely is hiding something about his appearance. I would assume he's got burn scars and all that. Do I think he's the man with the burn scar? I don't think he's the man marked by flames, but he's probably all messed up. I mean, he was on that island. Could be another reason. I mean, maybe he just looks different. I don't know. Oda tends to do that sometimes. There's times where he makes characters a silhouette for no reason. Big one that comes to mind is Momonosuke. When we first hear about Momonosuke, we see him in the lab. We get him as a silhouette. When we finally see Momonosuke, there's nothing really about him that was worth hiding behind a silhouette. It's just that Oda waited until we saw the character again, or saw the human form of the character to show us what he looked like.
Oh yeah, I think there's another one. I could be misremembering this, but it was like Rob Lucci at Dressrosa. It's like they showed his pigeon, but they didn't show like his. I'm looking at it now. They show his pigeon, they show his hair, they show Spandam, but they don't show Rob Lucci, and it's like, wait a minute, Oda, we know who this is. You can't hide him.
Exactly. And tell me this: why did we hide what Ryokugyu looked like? Why did we? He's an admiral and he has plant powers. Like, what was really worth hiding there? I guess maybe showing him would have shown like the green in his outfit. It would have given away what his ability was. But I don't know. I feel like you could have just given him a different coat for that scene or something.
Yeah.
Just to keep that a mystery. There's no reason to make him a silhouette either. So I think there's some characters that Oda just does that with to build up suspense. I don't think he actually is hiding much with Saul.
It's like one of those things. People are saying that, Oda just can't. He's like a crack addict, right? You see a homeless guy off the street, he's like itching his neck a little bit for the next fix. Oda does that, but for silhouettes.
Yeah,
he likes I gotta draw a silhouette, man.
That's his favorite thing. That man. Yeah, that's the classic. That's the classic from Oda.
Yeah, I mean, we even have that guy off the coast of Elbaf. Yeah. Who do you think that is? Who do you put your money on?
That's probably the man marked by flames. It could be that or Loki. That's also something. I have some thoughts on Loki actually as of this latest chapter. So I wouldn't put it past Oda to be showing us Loki's silhouette there.
Damn, speaking of this chapter, so are you on board the train that the inconsistencies in this chapter are an illusion?
Yeah. I think they're on Elbaf. I don't think it's like they're still on the ship and hallucinating Elbaf. I think they're on Elbaf right now. But
yeah.
What's interesting to me is this chapter is told from Nami's perspective for the most part, and there's a lot of inconsistencies, almost too many for one chapter, where you have to say, could it be possible that is it realistic that Oda made all these mistakes in one chapter, or is there something intentional going on here? I think it's the latter. I think there's something intentionally happening here to make all these mistakes. That's actually part of the story. It's not like a meta thing.
Yeah. So you think it's like Loki doing this, like, playing around with Nami's imagination? Because I've seen people say that, the people that she called out for, she said Usopp, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, like those were the 4 people that she called for, and those are the 4 people that showed up. So you think this is like Loki playing with her?
I think it's Loki playing with her. I think it's maybe the effect of the absinthe. You could see in the last chapter, especially with Nami, when they were all drinking alcohol, Nami was going the hardest out of all the Straw Hats. If you go back to that panel where there's the giant that comes down and he's like, oh, it's the Green Fairy, which, by the way, real absinthe is actually known as the Green Fairy. That's not a One Piece thing.
Yeah.
It's actually because absinthe is like natural absinthe is slightly green in color. And it can cause hallucinations.
That's why it's banned here in America, man.
Yeah, we found like after research, it's only like a certain ingredient that goes into making absinthe naturally that can cause hallucinations. If you distill it multiple times, that's not present, so it won't actually make you hallucinate. It's just banned for a number of reasons, a high alcohol content mainly.
Yeah.
But regardless, you see in the panel where they're all drinking on the ship, they're drinking this absinthe. If you look at Nami, she's throwing it back. She has the whole jug.
Hallucinations.
And she's throwing it back. Like, really, seriously. So if there's anyone out of the Straw Hats that definitely could be hallucinating off of drinking too much, it's her. Because that's the only... Maybe Zoro, but Zoro can handle his liquor. He was hallucinating without the liquor at the end of Wano, Like, I think it's not a problem for him. It is for Nami, though. So, I think that the fact that the chapter is really, from her perspective, tells a lot. There's actually a Nordic mythology connection that can explain what's actually going on here, which I found yesterday. I was doing some research, and I discovered some interesting things that are very, very similar to what we're seeing in the chapter that could explain everything.
It's crazy how Oda does that, right? Like, there's so many, like, mythological connections there. And with Nami, too, specifically, I love that it's from her perspective. Because it's not like we need more of Nami's backstory or lore, but we can always get that. Because Nami, she had an interesting upbringing. Like, minus the Arlong thing, we had Oikot Village. We have the orange hair, the not Scandinavian, but the Sweden back, like, origin story if she was in real life. It's like, okay, wait a minute. Like, is there more here with Nami? Like, is this going to be, quote, her arc as well as Usopp's, right?
Yeah, I mean... I think that there's going to be an important role for Nami to play in this arc specifically. I was just having a conversation yesterday with my friend Eden's Blue. We were talking about my breakdown of like the Nordic mythology, and he brought up something interesting in response to that, which is that Nami was friends with Lola, right? And we know that Loki and Lola were supposed to be engaged. That didn't work out. Big Mom tried to send in Chiffon instead because they're twins. They look the same. Loki didn't want Chiffon. So it's clear that he's not there for the looks. He didn't want Lola just for the looks. It was a personality thing, right? And Nami was friends with Lola. So if anything, there's definitely a personal more of a similar personality between Nami and Lola. It could be that Loki has taken an interest in Nami, and it could be a whole arc about Loki, wanting to wed Nami, and then the Straw Hats are like, no, that's not going to work. We need Nami. That was a great idea from Eden's. That discussion's not up on his channel yet, but it will be there. He went more into depth on that. Thought it was very interesting. If you look at the Nordic mythology with this, there's two Lokis. There's not. So most people are expecting this Loki to be referencing Thor's brother, the trickster god Loki. You know about the second one? You know who the second Loki?
Utgard Loki.
Yeah, Utgard Loki, right? You know about that story with the castle?
No, I'm not super familiar with it yet. I want to do like a whole like Norse mythology like rundown and stream one day, but that has yet to happen because there's so much there. I was like, okay, I can do like tidbits of research here and there, but I feel like unless I get like the full story all in one sitting, it's like it's gonna fly right by me tomorrow.
It's a lot, but the very very quick rundown is that Utgard Loki is a giant. He's like one of the giant race in Nordic mythology. He's like the king or like a leader of the giants, right? So there's a story where Thor goes on a walk. He goes on some little adventure. He ends up at Utgard Castle, which is Utgard Loki's castle. We're at a castle right now in Elbaf. That's how we're getting introduced. At Utgard Loki's castle, he challenges Thor and his friends to a bunch of competitions because he makes fun of them because of their size. Kind of like what you were saying earlier about the size thing. He was actually playing up on that. He was making fun of Thor. He's like, oh, you're so small, blah, blah, blah. So they have a bunch of competitions. He's like, you can prove yourself. Thor gets upset. He's like, all right, let's do some challenges. There's 3 important challenges that Utgard Loki offers. The first one is eating as much meat as possible. It's a challenge. Who can eat the most meat? Okay, well, that's definitely something that I could see Luffy really being into. The second challenge, it's a race. Who can run the fastest? Well, that's something we know Sanji's a very quick guy. That would be something that would be up his alley. The third challenge, who can drink the most? I'll let you guys fill in the blanks for that one. That's Zoro. After all that, Thor and his crew comes out on the losing end for most of those challenges. And Utgard Loki goes, okay, I'll offer you one last challenge. Lift up my cat. Lift my cat up off the ground. Well, we just saw a cat in this latest chapter. And it was a very, very large cat. And Thor wasn't able to lift it in the mythology. So after they lose, he's like, get the hell out of my castle. You guys suck. Go home. Thor's on the way out, and then Utgard Loki explains to him basically, this is all a trick. Each of the challenges, I made some kind of trick to make you lose, and my cat wasn't actually a cat, it was actually the world serpent. Somehow, you actually managed to lift it up. So basically, the end of the story turns out that all of it was a trick or an illusion that Utgard Loki played on Thor and his crew. So the way I see it right now is, especially taking Eden's addition to that idea and incorporating it into this framework, it's very possible Loki wants to marry Nami, possibly. He has some interest in Nami. We're getting the chapter from her perspective. He's hallucinating these events right now. In order to maybe win Nami or to challenge the Straw Hat crew for the rights to marry Nami, he might offer some challenges to the Straw Hats, which would involve eating, drinking, running, these things that are meant for the monster trio. And then depending on how that plays out is going to, I guess, determine where it goes from there. But I do think they're on Elbaf right now. I think they're in Utgard Castle. And this Loki that we're getting is based on that Loki. It could be a mix of both. I'm not going to write it off, but I think it's based on that Loki from that piece. Yeah.
Everything you said, I think it's perfect. I've heard about Utgard Loki's challenges, but I only knew about the Jormungandr's, snake being the cat because it's, with the most recent chapter. But I didn't know about the drinking, the eating and the race. And I was like, wow, like the minute you said eating, I was like, okay, I know where he's going with this. Like, it's going to be for all the Straw Hats. And then I could easily see maybe Usopp being the one who like kind of sniffs through it, right? One trickster to another. I think that might be the play here. And, spinning it a little bit too, because I like the Nami route. But if Chopper is missing, if Chopper is on the island as well, maybe it's over Chopper. Because we don't know like how Elbaf is structured yet. Like we have like the ear god, we have like cats and giant animals. It's like, okay, like Chopper, he could be like a prize here as well. Chopper could be considered a god even.
Yeah, because if you look at the mythology with the deer, right? There's like a big deer that's like at the base of the world tree or whatever. I don't remember what it's called, but there's like that giant deer. So I could see them looking at Chopper and being like, oh, it's him. It's the mythical deer, whatever.
We needed one of these guys for our collection.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Foxy all over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and then, yeah, like just like Foxy, they try to kidnap Chopper first, and they go for the women, which last time they went for Robin, but maybe now they'll, like, spin it for Nami a little bit. I could totally see that. And yeah, you're right. There's one deer god at the base of the tree, and then there's 4 deer, like, up on the branches, like, eating the leaves, and it's like, okay, like, this Norse mythology is crazy, by the way, but I love that it's really more, cool. Like, it's more coherent, it's more tied together than, like, yokais, for example, because yokais, it's kind of crazy. I remember when we got the Gorosei, I was looking at it, and I was like, man, these guys coexisted? How? Like none of their stories, like, ever, like, overlapped. It was like, oh, yeah, this guy burned that village down, that yokai did that village. It's like, what the hell? Like, it's like the multiverse. Guys,
it's weird because there's influences taken from multiple, like 3 of them are yokai. One of them is from Chinese mythology. Another one is from Dune. Like, I don't even think there's like, there's not even I don't think there's a sandworm. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think there's a sandworm really in mythology that I can think of. I did hear something about some kind of giant sand serpent that was in Egyptian mythology that got his like head chopped by Ra or something, which kind of did happen with the giants. They chopped Jupiter in half. So I don't know. Maybe there's something there, but I'm pretty sure Oda just took that from Dune.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's came out the same year, right?
Yeah, it came. The Dune 2 came out like a week before the chapter dropped.
Yeah, Oda was just so excited. And Oda's a film lover too. Like, if you go back, for anybody out there, like if you read any of his SBSs, he'll talk about how like some characters are just straight up based on movies or designs, and it's like, yeah, this guy's he's a film junkie. He follows Cinema Sins on YouTube. And
yeah, I remember Randy Troy told me about how he had like a life-size Terminator in his office or whatever. He had like the T-1000 just chilling in his office.
Yeah, dude, Oda's crazy like that. And like the one thing I heard for Jupiter is that he could be based on the Mongolian death worm, which is like another, mythological creature. But at the same time, like I always push back on that a little bit because it's like, okay, the death worm and the sandworm, like they're 2 very different creatures in like mythology. So the Mongolian deathworm actually has electricity powers.
Oh, okay.
So like it shoots out poison and it like can shoot out electricity from its body. So that's why I'm like, okay, like I like that, but at the same time, it's like Jupiter hasn't shown any of that yet. He's more akin to like an actual sandworm from a fantasy game or just Dune in general. So
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. The ground. Yeah,
yeah, he sucks things in. Like it's pretty 1-to-1.
Yeah.
So as far as Legos go, right? We're on Elbaf here. Did you like the Lego reveal? Are you a big Lego fan?
Not really. No, I don't really love Legos like that. But I mean, look, the people that can build cool things out of Lego, I respect that. I think that's sick. How do I think it connects into the One Piece story? I don't really know. The way I see it is Loki's very young for a giant. He's only like 60 years old. Yeah. So I don't think he's like a kid. Exactly, but it could be that maybe if that is Loki's castle, I'm assuming it is. If it is, maybe he has kind of like a childish mentality. It could also be that he has a devil fruit power that allows him to make Lego blocks. Like he's the Lego block. He's the Lego block Logia.
Yeah, like I mean,
I don't know. Like you hit him, you try and punch him, and he just crumbles into blocks. He can like rebuild himself. Like in Lego Star Wars or whatever, those games, if you remember those. Yeah,
he's like funny enough, I need to play that Lego Star Wars game. I have it. It was on sale the other day.
I had it back when I was a kid. I played the shit out of those games, man. They were fun.
They're like a collect.
I wasn't even a big Lego fan, but I love those games.
Yeah, there's just something about unlocking those characters, huh?
Yeah, there's like 150 characters. Yeah. It was fun. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe he has like Lego powers, man. Like, I wouldn't write it off. There's a lot of weird powers in One Piece.
Yeah.
What other explanation could there be for, like, a giant castle made out of Legos? Like, I don't think we've seen anything like that elsewhere in Elbaf from what we've seen. So, like, if it's Loki's castle, why did he elect to build his castle and only his castle out of Legos? Maybe it's, like, a devil fruit thing. Maybe he did it with his devil fruit. I don't know.
Yeah, devil fruit, or it could just be like super wacky. Like imagine the Giants are just like, yeah, we're just mining for Legos over here, and you see like people like hauling in a bunch of Legos in a cart. They're like, yep, we just got this today. It's like
yeah, there's just a castle. There's like a mountain built out of like Lego blocks, and they're just hitting them, and then little blocks fly off with their pegs and all that.
Like little studs.
Yeah, the guy.
That's the currency
like
of
the blue
Elbaf,
studs
not
are
even
like
berries.
gold. We found gold, and it's like a golden Lego stud. Like
yeah.
I mean, Oda's done weirder shit before, so
he really has. Like I think he's in his bag here. So for Yggdrasil though, where are you with this? Do you think there's like 9 Yggdrasils to represent the 9 realms? Do you think there's 9 little lands in Elbaf, with Warland being one of them? Do you think this is the Adam Tree even? Or like this is another, pretty hot question coming off of the chapter. Like where are you when it comes to that?
I don't know if it's the Adam Tree. I mean it could be. The way I see it is like from what we saw outside of Elbaf, right? It looked like there was a giant tree coming up off the mountain. The Yggdrasil we saw in this chapter is nowhere near the size of that. So it could be, if it's anything like how Yggdrasil is depicted in the mythology, that there's layers to the tree. And right now they're maybe on one of the upper layers, and that bit of Yggdrasil that we see is like the tip top of the tree, where the rest of the tree is making up the ground beneath them in a way. And it actually goes all the way down to the base of the island. So I could see that being the case. Is it the Adam Tree? I mean, yeah, I wouldn't really see a problem with that, especially because the Giants tend to... I mean, there's not many examples, but they have other names for things. And we've seen other countries that are more isolated have alternative names for things that people in the outside world call something else. The Mantra and Skypia, Ryo and Wano, Jutsu for devil fruits, right? Mm-hmm. Same thing here. It could be they call it Yggdrasil. The rest of the world knows it as the Adam Tree. So that I could see that being...
I like that.
Yeah.
As far as... so one of the Giants do say something interesting. They're like, hey... By the way, like, the country's done for if the fire spreads to Yggdrasil. I was like, okay, like, when you think about Fishman Island, for example, if the Eve tree were to go down, Fishman Island would have no oxygen, they'd have no sunlight, and it's like, okay, like, I wonder, well, then again, we don't know the effects of Eve tree when it comes to Marie's Rod or the Red Line yet, but for Fishman, it is important, it's integral. Yeah. If the tree's gone, they're done for. For Yggdrasil, though, if that tree goes down, what do you think the fallout would be?
Well, if what I'm saying is correct, and it's their country is basically built on top of the tree, or like layers of the tree. If it burns, I mean the entire country goes down with it in that respect, right? Because that's the foundation of all their homes and their country and everything. Yeah, it would probably be horrible for Elbaf.
Yeah, now that you say it, I'm like looking at the chapter, and we actually don't see what the Giants are standing on. Right? Yeah. Like, for all we know, it could be just like you said, a layer of that tree. And this is just like the very top of it. And if it is the very top, this could go back to your idea of it being Utgard Loki's little, like, town or village or castle. I like that. Yeah.
I mean, it would make sense, right? Like, if you think about it, if the fire gets to the top of the tree, gets to that part of Yggdrasil there, it would work kind of like a wick on a candle, where it's like it burns the top and then it'll just work its way down until it encompasses the rest of the country. So it makes sense to me why they wouldn't want it to catch on fire. The question is, though, if all this is Nami's hallucination, how much of that we just saw is real? Like, is there actually a fire? Is this all happening on Elbaf? We got to like leave Nami for a second and see what's going on elsewhere. So it's probably not all a hallucination. That's why I think we are on Elbaf right now, even though some of it might not be real.
Yeah, so when it comes to like the hallucination aspect, I'm not there yet. I believe that this cat line is a part of Loki's trickery. I do, and I think we're going to get a lot more trickery in the future. For me, I think I'm a lot more forgiving when it comes to these like inconsistencies and mistakes, because like if this was the middle of the arc, I'd be like, okay, like this is weird. But since we just entered Elbaf, I'm like, okay, Oda has a big team, like maybe, just some not mismanagement, but like, it's like Chinese telephone. You tell them one thing like, hey, Luffy has an axe. And the next guy says, oh yeah, Luffy has a sword. It's like, wait, what? So it's like, maybe it's like just a group project gone wrong. These are the first times we've seen them in the outfits. And we've seen like mistakes on Egghead.
But what about the Gear 4 thing? He called it Gear 4 and he used Gear 3.
Hey, on Egghead, when we first got there, Atlas had a 6 instead of a 5, or vice versa. She had a 5 instead of a 6. And that was the chapter where we saw, like, Oda gave us, like, the laydown as to what satellite had each number. So that was kind of a crazy mistake at the time, and people thought that was the traitor, because Atlas had the wrong number. So it's like I could see like this being a mistake as well. But I do agree, like Loki's trickery is at play here when it comes to the castle, when it comes to the cat, and I think we will get a lot more of it. And I feel like the hard part is like that beginning part of the chapter where they're like, hey, like there's a fire, bees are down, and then we get it later that Luffy's group did it. And it's like, okay, like I like the idea that Luffy is a clone. Or not a clone, sorry, that's like a crazy way to put it, but he's a hallucination.
Like an illusion.
Yeah.
Like
but
Nami,
it's like they did beat the air god though.
Yeah, right. So it's how much of that actually happened? How much of it is Nami just hallucinating Luffy because she wants him to save her? It could be right now, all of this that happened, Nami's like in a dungeon right now, and she just hallucinated all those events, and she's just been tripping out in like a dungeon cell for like the last hour. You know, like I could see something like that.
That's kind of funny.
With the mistakes, though, I feel like the only thing that makes me question it is there's so many in this one chapter.
I agree.
There's the belt buckle. There's the Nami's tattoo is missing. There's the sword and the axe switch. There's the gear 4th, gear 3rd thing. There's Nami and Usopp somehow fall from a massive height and are completely okay. There's like she calls for her friends and they show up immediately to save the day. Like it almost feels to me like this is intentional, especially if you're Oda. You write the chapter, especially with something like Gear 3rd and Gear 4th. He writes the chapter, he draws the chapter, he writes the lines that are going to go in the bubbles. I am 100,000% positive he doesn't just finish the last panel of the chapter and then just hands it off to the next guy. He, at the very least, has to reread the whole thing at least once over just to check for mistakes. And then his editors, because that's what the editors are there for.
It's like 10 of them.
Yeah, they're paid specifically to check these things. They'll miss little details like the number on Atlas because that's not like it's not an established detail yet what the numbers of the Vegapunks are. But for like Luffy to use a Gear 3rd move but call it out as a Gear 4th, that's something an editor should 100% pick up on if that comes across their desk. That is like blatant. So like, you know, the only way I could see it getting past them is if Oda said, no, that's intentional. Leave that.
Yeah.
You know? That's the way I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think a lot of people are rallying behind this idea, and honestly, like I would love if this is all hallucination. Like the green fairy's just hitting hard, Loki's hitting hard.
Yeah,
and you know I do enjoy that idea, but for me, like what I need just to like nail that in though, for me at least, is just one panel where Nami's like, you know, like scratching her chin, like wait a minute, like something feels weird. Like if we had that one thing, I'd be like, okay, I'm there, guys. Or like one reaction at the very end where she's like, wait, why are you all so comfortable? That is true, but this hits me like a pre-time skip gag because Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji, like they're always so used to like the dumbest things.
Sure, but there's that one line where she says, "I remember us drinking on the Giants ship. Next thing I know, I'm here with you. Wait, that booze? Didn't he say it could cause hallucinations?" That's what she said that in this latest chapter. So it's like almost Oda wink, wink, you know, at the audience. Something's up. Something's wrong here. Up. You know? Yeah, that's why I'm pretty convinced at this point. It's funny because coming off the chapter, I was with you. I was like, I don't know if I think this is real. I think this is all still happening. Yeah. But then I look back through all of it. I'm like, this is a little weird for Oda to do all these things. And like, it's all an accident. I don't know.
I can't wait till next week, and I'm completely wrong. Yeah. I'd be like that one guy who, you know, like in every horror movie, there's like the husband, and he's like, like Ghost? You saw a ghost? That doesn't exist. Come on, guys, a ghost?
Yeah,
and
have you seen Hereditary? There was like a scene in that movie. Yeah, where he's like they're burning the book, and then you know, like
it comes back.
I'm not gonna spoil the movie, but it's a good movie. But you're like the husband in that movie. I watched Strangers the other day, which
and there's like one scene in particular where the girl's like, oh, like, babe, there were people in the house. They were in the closet. You know, they tried to kill me with a knife. And then the guy, he looks at her. He says, babe, the lights were off, right? He's like, yeah. Like, what you actually saw was this painting over here. And it's like in a completely different room. And it's a painting of a guy like posed up. It's like, you must have just saw this painting and got scared. And it's like, what? What do you mean? She said she was chased through the house.
That movie was so ass. I looked at it. I was like, which one was Strangers? It was the one with the masks, right? Was that the movie where the kid was with the RC car in the closet and he was like using the RC? Or maybe I'm thinking of...
You're thinking about a different movie.
I'm probably thinking about what is the movie where they have like the day where everyone goes and kills each other?
It's
like one day a
You're
year.
thinking about the Purge.
That's probably the Purge, but it's the same shit. It's like
it's just you got people showing up at your house. They got masks. Strangers 1 that released in like 2005 is good, but the 2024 Strangers, don't waste your time, guys. It's so bad.
Yeah, no,
don't do it.
No, most horror movies are not good. I feel like
that's
like one of the most oversaturated genres out there of just like
because it's cheap to make, man.
Yeah, it is.
Their budget is low, but their return is high, so they just keep on pumping out like really bad horror movies, and I can't blame them. Like, it's a money farm. Like, sure, dude, go for it.
Yeah, teenagers get scared by anything. That's why a lot of these horror movies get PG-13 ratings instead of rated R ratings. They make a lot of them for younger audiences that don't know that there's better out there. So they just go into the theater, they see guy with the mask, like, oh my god, that's Paranormal scary. Activity. There's a reason I got like 6 movies, that,
and they're all bad.
They're all bad. They're not good. No one's ever gonna watch them in 30 years and be like, "Wow, this is a classic. this is a classic horror movie." Oh my god, the towel moved in the bathroom.
Yeah, nothing ever happens. It's just like things moving around the house and people are screaming.
Yeah,
like the audience is screaming. That's it. Yeah,
where they're like, oh, we showed this to our test audience, and it was the scariest movie they ever saw.
They lost
show
their sanity.
They show a screening of like 20 people in a room just like shitting their pants, and like the bed sheet moves, and everyone just goes crazy. It's funny, man.
It got the whole theater tripping like a rich white couple doing ayahuasca in Thailand. It's like, what the hell? Have you seen those videos?
No, I have. Well, actually. You know what's funny? I think I did see something like that on Twitter yesterday. I saw a video of people just vomiting in the woods.
There
were just people like they were. Is that the one you're thinking of? Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy, bro.
People pay money to go like out of country just to do like ayahuasca or like whatever hallucinogens they have, and then they just try to have a life-altering experience. And it's like, bro, you must really trust these villagers, man. Because if I was the villager, I'd be laughing at them like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I mean, look, on the topic of hallucinations, like, I'm just gonna say,
all ties back.
Look, if you do those things, I'm not gonna judge you, but I'm just saying, I feel like with hallucinogens like that, especially, your brain's a very delicate piece of machinery. When you do something like that, I mean, you're playing with fire, man.
You really are.
You're playing with fire. So, don't do that stuff. Don't drink too much absinthe, or you're gonna be starting to see Lego blocks and giant cats. And you're gonna get mauled to death by like a giant horrific animal.
It's a good PSA.
Don't do that shit, man.
It reminds me of that guy who went on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he's like, I'm gonna do cocaine and show people that you can easily. It was cocaine or heroin. He's like, I'm gonna show you guys you can just quit. It's all in your mind. And then they visited him a year later, and he's like cracked out in a motel. Like his life fell apart, no family anymore. He's got no money, and it's like, dude, he could not get off. It's addicting, man.
He thought he could just hockey through that. That's not how it works.
Yeah, your brain starts craving it.
With your brain chemistry. Yeah.
I
mean, look, I have a nicotine addiction, and I know how it goes, and that's not even a half as strong as a cocaine or heroin addiction. And I'm struggling. I want to quit. It's hard. It's hard. You get withdrawals. I mean, like, that stuff's real. So
yeah. So it's always strange when people say, like, just quit, because it's like some things, sure, you can quit. Like, sometimes I can quit like spending money on like gacha games, like that's possible. But as far as like heroin goes, like that's a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, look, hey man, just quit One Piece. Hey dude, just stop. Just stop reading.
Stop reading it.
Just stop reading, man. You don't need to know what happens next.
Yeah, no, that's a good example.
Yeah.
So
I'm not trying to throw shade on like real addicts and say, oh, it's just like quitting One Piece. Oh
no. I think we're showing like how hard it is too. Like it's not easy.
No, it is hard.
So, real quick, I want to touch on that cover page story, Yamato. Are you enjoying Yamato's adventure? It's been, I think it's like 22 weeks. It's volume 15, but, obviously if you include color spreads and the times we don't get anything, it's like we've been with Yamato for 22 weeks. Are you excited for the next installment? No?
No. I mean, no, not at all. I don't like Yamato. I think Yamato's a shit character.
No!
I think Yamato's terrible. Terribly written. Really, discount Jinbei. I've been saying it for a long time now.
Damn.
Yamato was written the exact same way Jinbei was in Marineford, with way less impact, way less significance, almost designed to be like fan bait, like just to get people like, squealing over this character merch. Yeah, to sell the merch. That's what it felt like with Yamato from day one to me. The trying to force herself onto the Straw Hats. The arguments that'll happen from me just now saying herself instead of themself or whatever. This argument is enough for me to not even want to see the character anymore. But besides that point, I don't like the cover story purely because I get what Oda's doing, okay? Wano's been starving for 20 years. They've been without food for 20 years. So what is the cover story? The cover story is Yamato going from every town in Wano, and people are eating and they're all happy. It's showing the after effects of Luffy, and yeah, Wano's great now. Everyone can have food in their belly. Great. I get it. I got it for the last 10 chapters of this. Let me have something happen, please. Where's Kaido? Where's Big Mom? They're still on the island right now. They're in the lava. I don't think they're dead. So we need some information. What about Pluton? What about, right now, we have Blackbeard with Caribou, who Caribou knows 2 of the ancient weapon locations. One of them is in Wano right now. Blackbeard is going to make a move on Luffy's territory very, very soon. Can we get something like that happening, please? Can we have Blackbeard pull up on Wano and show Yamato fending off Blackbeard with Momo or something? Like, that's cool to me. 10 chapters of Yamato giving people rice balls is not what I want to see. I don't care. I don't care. I got it in the first 2 times. Like, yes, great. They're eating. Awesome. Move on.
It's crazy, dude. And we're only in Curry. I always love to remind people that, guys, we have to go all around Wano. Yamato's still in Curry. That's the second stop. It
makes me wonder how much more of this we're gonna get. It's like, it reminds me of funny enough, I mentioned him. It reminds me of the Caribou cover story. I don't know if you remember that one. That one goes on forever. It goes on forever, and it's just Caribou being a dick. And like, it's like him being a dick for like 30 chapters and going from island to island. Oh, he discovers it. He looks like this other communist Che Guevara looking guy. And then he becomes friends with this old lady and blah, blah, blah. And he has this touching moment. Well, that doesn't even matter now because Caribou is actually a total douche. He was from the beginning, but whatever goodness we put on him in that cover story is gone now because he went to Blackbeard and he's gonna help Blackbeard ruin all the good that Luffy has done. So I don't care. Fuck Caribou.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say it. Fuck Caribou. I don't want that cover story. Shouldn't have gone on for 30 chapters. This Yamato one, end it. Let's go to something else. You know, let's go.
Hey, maybe.
Right?
I mean, yeah, and you know, with Yamato, we couldn't even get Buggy, right? Like, there's so many chances of like characters coming, even Katakuri, because you know, like you said, Big Mom's still here. Like, somebody could come here and something could happen. Yeah. Like, Wano has so much potential, so much. But Buggy we really are just going around delivering rice balls, like you said.
Dude, yeah, it's a problem. But we had Buggy do that whole thing with his crew. He's like, I want to be Pirate King. We're gonna find the One Piece together. Show us a cover story of like 10 chapters of like what Buggy's doing with his crew, like to prep for this journey, right? Yeah. Like, just have him get bullied by Crocodile and Mihawk for one cover story. Have him say something to his crew in another. Like, I don't know, just something, you know.
And then Whole Cake one, and then we'll have like a Zoe one, and then Wano one. Like, dude, Buggy could travel, but Yamato, man, she's just traveling around Wano.
Yeah, Yamato's just going around the country we just spent 150 chapters in. Like, you know, it would be one thing if Yamato left Wano and was like doing stuff elsewhere, and we're following that journey. We're just seeing Yamato go around Wano and show how happy everyone is, and that can be done in maybe 2 to 3 cover stories. Like, you don't really need to. I don't know. That's just where I'm at right now. I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of this character.
I'm coping. I think I'm coping. But first off, I like Yamato. I think it's just the assets that got me like appealed towards her. I think that's all it is.
The assets?
Yeah, I'm like the person that, you know, like we talked about the merch earlier. Yeah, I'd have like a Yamato boob pad or something just hiding in the closet. But outside of that, though, like I have a feeling. It's either I have a feeling or I'm just really hoping this is the case. But I hope the Kidnapper is substantial to some extent. Like, imagine if we get the Kidnapper, right? They've been talking about this Kidnapper for 4 chapters. If we get that Kidnapper, and if they're nobody, that'll be one of the most disappointing things about this cover page story. That is why I think it has to be tied to a Yonko, like Blackbeard, or maybe even Buggy or Crossfield. It has to be. Like, there's some way, somehow, this has to tie into some big named character.
Yeah,
Like,
and then it turns out it's
know.
like Pickle Juro from Apple Village on it's like, so yeah, he's been going around, he's been going around kidnapping people so that he can feed them and give them more rice crackers and bento boxes. Like, I don't know what's
another
the
Denjiro.
Yeah, no, I really don't even expect much at this point. I think it's just, it's Oda not wanting to show us what's happening in the really important factions right now, because I think he's saving that for actual in-chapter material. That's what I'm thinking. It's like, okay, the other options besides showing this Yamato stuff right now is like showing us what the actual major players are doing. And I think he's saving that for the final saga. He wants to actually give that some like real attention, put the spotlight. So that's why he's doing it. I mean, it's either that or we get cover stories that are just fan requests and they have nothing to do with the story. So I guess if it's a choice between those two, I would choose something that actually develops the world a little bit, even if I don't like it. So.
Yeah. It's just funny thinking about how like strong and, competent the Scabbards and Momonosuke and Yamato and like the whole country of Wano kind of is. And the fact that a kidnapper's just running rampant, it's like, dude, who the hell is this person, man? I hope it's not just a random, like, oh, here's an old man with a young woman fetish, I guess.
It's kidnapping Hawkins. It's Hawkins. He survived Onigashima, and now he's going around kidnapping people. That's what.
God.
All right, there you go.
There you go. Yeah, we know he's alive. I mean, dude. I think all the Supernova are gonna make it through. I mean, same with Kaido, Big Mom. Like, I don't think there's like there's not gonna be like casualties like that in the story, at least not yet.
I mean, I don't
think
know.
when we get it, it'll be like more definite, in my opinion.
Honestly, at this point, I'm not. The fact that we just saw Saturn die on page, and then we just had like, I don't know. I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised if Oda's like willing to kill his villains. Like maybe Kaido doesn't survive, but Big Mom does somehow. I've always been saying this with Big Mom. I think she's gonna come back, and she's gonna be like a small raisin person. She's gonna be like Bakin, where she's like shrunken down and she's completely harmless at this point. She almost looks like Mother Caramel. She's gonna come out of the lava and it shrunk her. It didn't kill her, but it shrunk her to like a completely unimposing size. So she's not actually a threat anymore.
She passes the baton to her kids, like, "Hey, that was my era. It's your era now, Katakuri, Parasparrow. Have fun."
Yeah, now her kids actually have to protect her because she's like she's defenseless. She's like a defenseless old lady. That seems like an Oda thing to do.
It does. I could totally see that. Maybe if there's like a two-piece, like after One Piece, like I would love to see just like random old Big Mom just chilling, hanging out, like just unimposing.
Do you really want a two-piece though? Do you want that?
Two-piece? No, not really.
No.
I'm like mixed with it. Like it depends who does it. It depends like who we follow. Like there's a lot of ifs.
Yeah, I want a prequel. I don't want a sequel. That's where I'm at.
A prequel would be nice because I think a prequel could we could tie in and get a lot of backstories for a lot of characters. We could see how islands became what they are today. Yeah, like I think that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, either something that's like far removed from the current timeline, or a one-shot prequel that's like focused on Roger when he was young, or like Shanks when he was at the beginning of his career. Like it would be cool to get like a one-shot, or not even a one-shot, just like a really short spin-off of Shanks just after he gives the hat to Luffy, and we see, instead of going to Luffy's perspective from that moment, we go to Shanks's perspective.
Ooh, and it
happens immediately after. Up to basically the manga would be everything leading up to Shanks becoming an emperor. How did he become an emperor? What happened in that time frame? Who was the emperor before Shanks? And then the villain of that short manga would be the emperor that was just before Shanks replaced him, and then the final villain of that short thing would be Shanks fighting him, beating him, becomes the new emperor, and then we pick up from the main One Piece story from there.
I think that'd be good.
That'd be the perfect prequel to me.
Yeah, I would even love like a Marine spinoff. Like maybe we get it from Garp's perspective.
Yeah, I would love that.
Just like as a teenager all the way up to being an old man. There's so many good characters in One Piece, and I think that's that's the brass tacks of it.
Yeah.
So as far as like, going back to Elbaph for a second, are you one of the believers that coming off of this arc, Usopp will have, it doesn't have to be like a power up, but just do you think he'll have significant growth?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, there's a lot of things with Usopp, right? Like there's potentially the David and Goliath connection, where it's like Usopp uses a slingshot and he admires the giants and he wants to become like them. David and Goliath. David defeats a giant man with a sling, right? Like there's that story. Yeah. There's the whole thing of what, can't remember the name, but there's like a story about is it William Overtell? It's
I think so. Let me see.
Yeah, I don't know why yeah, but there's a story about a guy that shoots an apple off of someone's head, and he hits the apple, and it's like a big thing, and you know, if there's maybe like an example that story comes from, I'm pretty sure it's Swedish or Swiss in origin. I might be wrong. Forgive me, guys. I'm not perfect, but you know, that's also those are countries that have Nordic roots, so. It could be that, you know, maybe Usopp does some insane feat of marksmanship. Maybe Usopp fights a giant and wins using his slingshot. And then this all becomes a part of, like, Usopp's fable. He becomes famous for this. And I've always theorized, I had a big theory with Usopp where I said that, you know, especially after Elbaph, there's going to be stories, at least starting with the giants, that are going to be passed down of Usopp. And there's going to be tales about Usopp being this great, great hero. And it's going to somehow be carried into a book that Usopp is, you know, Usopp the hero or Usopp the brave warrior, where it's like an inverse of Nolan the liar. Yeah. Where, like, Nolan was an actual brave warrior. He was remembered as a liar. Usopp spent most of his career being just, you know, kind of a coward liar, and he ends it as a brave warrior, and he's remembered that way. So I think whatever's going to happen in Elbaph is probably going to be related to Usopp's fable, you know?
Yeah, I love that.
So...
I'm a big fan of Usopp's character growth. I could totally see that happening. I think there is that connection between him and Nolan. It's one of those things where, like, you know, whenever Usopp lies, like, you kind of have to, like, do a double take, like, wait, will that come true one day? You know, like, that's one of the things with Usopp. So when I think about that Nolan connection, I'm like, yeah, I could totally see Usopp being related to Nolan. I could see him... I didn't think about him getting, like, a spin-off book, but I like that a lot. I could even see Elbaph. So if there are, like, 9 realms, and if there's 9, quote, lands, like Warland being one of them, I could see Usopp getting his own land. Like, maybe it'll be called Uso Land. Kind of like how in Skypiea, there's a Wagumo Land, which is the, what is it, like the rubber, not festival, like it's like a rubber, like, amusement park that features Usopp. And Usopp is, like, you know, chiseled out the wazoo. He has a spear. He's looking crazy. And then he has a statue of Dressrosa. And then it's like, I could totally see Usopp getting Uso Land and having that be a thing here in the Land of Giants, and they, like, you know, like you said, tell tales about how brave he is.
Yeah, I mean, there's something else to consider, that Usopp was known for a while as Soge King, right?
Yeah.
And he comes from the land of snipers. Well, we don't know about an actual land of snipers. Maybe he creates that. And then there's the issue that happened in this chapter where someone was saying, we got to go report this to the sun god. We know that whoever they're talking about is not the sun god. Yeah. So someone's lying, okay? And Usopp, currently on his bounty poster, is known as God Usopp. So there's a chance that the Giants of Elbaf might confuse Usopp with one of their gods. And it could even be based on the Soge King poster, because if you remember Soge King's mask, it almost looks like a sun with, like, sunbeams, like, radiating off of it. It could be that they confuse Usopp for the sun god. They don't think it's Luffy at first. You know, they're like, the Giants are like, we brought Nico, we brought the sun god. And then they're like, oh, really? And then it's like, they think it's Usopp, maybe temporarily or something.
That's a good point. I mean, even Usopp's, you know, epithet, he's just God Usopp.
Yeah. God Usopp, yeah. Yeah. Damn. So they might confuse him for a god. They might actually think he's
the
actually
nose
a
god.
And consider this, in the poster where he's, like, you know, God Usopp, where they took that picture, who was he being held up by? He was being held up by Hiruden.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was, you know, a giant was holding him up in the you know, the cross pose where he's, like, hanging like that, and he's God Usopp. So it's like, maybe the Giants, they're gonna make a little bit of a mistake and confuse Usopp and Luffy, which goes back to Luffy's bounty poster, where Usopp showed up in the background of Luffy's bounty poster, you know, his first ever one. It's like Usopp wanted to be captain while Luffy was captain. Like, there could be a thing where they just confuse the two, and it's like a funny joke that's, you know, played off.
I like that. And then Usopp did, I remember, like, back in the beginning of One Piece, like, when Luffy got that first bounty poster, Usopp said it was his bounty. So it was like, wait a minute, like he's heavily riding that coattail. So I could totally see him like, you know, becoming the next sun god. And the thing with Luffy, which I think this is great, but like Luffy not caring about the sun god or Joy Boy, it works so well in this scenario because whoever this sun god is, whether it's an animal, whether it's Utgard Loki or just somebody like an imposter, even like I don't think Luffy would even care that much, right? He would just be like, no. it's whatever.
Luffy doesn't even know who the sun god is. He's like totally out of the loop. He's
Whenever
like,
they start talking about it, he like covers his ears almost, you know? He's like, what's going on?
He doesn't care. Yeah. He's like, I don't know who that guy you're talking about is. I'm Luffy. He's like, I don't know who this Nico guy is or Joy Boy or whatever. I'm Luffy. You know, I'm gonna be the king of the pirates. Okay, dude.
Like, do your thing. Good one, man.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, sure.
It would be so funny if we get like the other sun god and they're like sweating their balls like, holy crap, it's him. Like, I'm gonna lose my position. And then Luffy's like, hey, you're a funny man. Yeah, that's it. That's all it is.
I think that's like a joke that Oda would do. You know, that's something I ask myself when I'm like considering ideas or where the story's gonna go. I have to like imagine like, is this something that's like Oda's sense of humor, or like, you know, has he done something like this before? I think this is up his alley. You know, I could see that being where he goes with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like a Dragon Ball throwback in a way with Hercules, right? Like Hercules is the champion of the world, and then you have Goku who's actually like over here beating all the guys, but Hercules gets all the credit. So maybe the sun god's the same way.
I mean, they're very similar in that respect. Those two characters, you know, they're a lot of bluffing.
So
a lot of bluffing.
You know, speaking of like jokes that Oda would do, how do you feel about Kid?
Oh, I have big hopes for Kid.
Me too.
I have big hopes for Kid. The Punk 07 thing has really sold me lately.
Oh yeah. And then Lilith is, you know, she's here. You know,
she's
like
here,
we're finally gonna see if there's anything with that. And I think there's a reason why. So this is my own personal theory, but I think there's a reason why Oda separated the Straw Hats the way he did. I mean, more so than just like, you know, the nostalgia and like the great matchups and stuff like that. With Jinbei off the coast of Elbaf with Robin and Franky. So Robin, when she saw that the Straw Hats were missing, she said, oh, like maybe they were eaten by a giant fish. And then Franky like actually said, wait a minute, don't say things like that because that could actually be true because these fish are freaking massive. And then we see a giant fish right beside them. And I was like, that's crazy because that's the first thing that Kid's crew said. When they showed up on Elbaf, they said, whoa, like the fish of Elbaf are huge. And I'm like, okay, like when it comes to Kid, I agree. I don't know if he'll be like super, super important, but I do think he will have a comeback. I think he will grow a lot. And I was like, okay, how is Kid going to survive? Will a giant fish him out? Will Law save him? Or another idea I've been playing with is that maybe he got eaten by a giant fish. Because when you think about it, Kid's crew, if they were eaten, they're everything that the Straw Hats are looking for, right? Like, because imagine Jinbei, for example. He's like, okay, we're missing a ship, we're missing our captain and a swordsman. If they were to ask a fish, like, hey, did you eat anybody recently? They'd be like, yeah, we literally ate a ship, a captain, and a swordsman. So I could see like an Oda gag where, you know, like they get a fish, they have it spit out like their quote crew, and then it's not their crew, it's literally just Kid. I was like, okay, like that would be super silly. It would be a nice mix up. And it would be a good way to save Eustass.
Do you think that the rest of Kid's crew is alive, or do you think it's just Kid that survived?
I think they're all alive. I mean, if we're going with this like crazy theory, I think there could be like a weird air pocket shenanigan going on with the fish. We've seen like weird instances where like animals will eat people, or you know, and they survive. Like Laboon, that's an oddball case because Crocus was like making him a machine on the inside, so can't use that for a great example. But there's like Nola from Skypiea. It ate Luffy, and he was just hanging out for like I guess like 10 days in there essentially. Yeah, so, like maybe a fish ate him.
Yeah, no, I could see that. That's not a crazy idea to me, especially because they established that those fish are like a thing. No, I mean, this is the arc for Kid, right? Like he lost. He's at his lowest point, arguably in the story right now. They lost their poneglyph rubbings. You know, there's a Vegapunk on the island. There's a good chance that Kid has some connection to Vegapunk. It might not be like he's the 7th Vegapunk or he's Vegapunk's kid. I don't know about that. Although it would be pretty funny if the guy named Eustass Kid with the powers is Vegapunk's kid or something. But
yeah,
you know,
pretty on the nose at that point, huh?
it's pretty on the nose, yeah. But you know, there's something that's gonna happen with this character. I don't think he's gonna be a huge end game player, but the way I see Kid in Elbaf, I think it's gonna be like Elbaf is gonna be Kid's Dressrosa. Like what Dressrosa was for Law, Elbaf is gonna be for Kid.
Yeah.
So he's gonna probably be with the crew for most of the arc, if I had to guess. And we're gonna learn a lot about Kid, his past. We might even get a Kid flashback. Right? Because people were saying, oh, we got his backstory in an SBS, why he named his ship Victoria, all this stuff. Yeah, but, you know, that's like what? Like a small chunk of his childhood? We missed, like, all the rest of that leading up to gathering his crew, going out on the adventure. Where did he... I don't think the backstory gave us where he learned about or got the idea to find the One Piece, did it? Like, did it explain why he wants to be Pirate King so bad? Like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it did. I don't remember. But... I don't know. There's more to learn about the character, I feel.
Oh, 100%.
There's more, yeah. Like, and if he is related to Vegapunk in some way, or there's some connection, then we definitely have a big gap in Kid's history that we're going to have to learn about, and that would be facilitated by Lilith being on the island with them. So, yeah, I think this is going to be it's going to be Kid's Dressrosa. It's going to be his big character development arc, which might be sad for some people that are hoping this is going to be the Usopp arc. I don't know if it's going to be the Usopp arc. I think he's going to have his moment, but I think it's mostly going to be a Kid-centric arc, if anything.
Yeah, so. I mean, the thing is that I think a lot of characters could get a lot of glow up here. Like, with how long Oda's been waiting for Elbaf, and with how many characters are tied to it, right? We have Robin with Saul, Usopp in his dream, you know, Nami with the orange hair and the Lola connection. Like, even Franky's with Lilith. That's huge. Like, dude, Egghead Island is essentially with him at that point. Like, there's so many characters that are here that I think could get that glow up. And I just hope that Oda takes his time and kind of does it, because he can. Like, it's the setup is there. All we need is for Oda to, like, you know, do that alley-oop, and that's it.
Yeah. I'm still kind of salty about the Egghead Franky thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
That was an arc. Look, I'm not going to complain what we got in Egghead. We got so much in that arc. But, like, that's the place to do Franky stuff. That is the place, man.
I would have started stealing things if I was him.
Put things in your pocket. Learn something, bro. That's all I ask. Franky should have just learned something. And people are going to say, oh, you're just mad that your theory, the green blood theory you had for Franky, didn't happen. I still think there's a chance it can still happen. But even if it doesn't happen, my issue is not with my theory being wrong. My issue is with the premise of my theory being wrong. And the premise being Franky and his entire growth and development over the course of the story is almost entirely Vegapunk-centric. It is focused on Vegapunk. You finally get to meet your idol. You're on his island with all this incredible technology that definitely Franky would want to study. And there was no time in the arc at all for Franky to do any of that. He didn't have any chance to learn from Vegapunk, really, at all. The entire arc. That, to me, is a problem. That's not even theory-related. That's just narrative setup that's not being fulfilled there. So, I'm still salty about that. I love Egghead. It's like a 9 out of 10 for me. What would make it a 10 out of 10 is that Franky bit. It needs that Franky bit, and it didn't have it. So
it's so funny. I'm going back to like 1126 right now, and I'm trying to see if Franky has like even a small like background panel where he's talking to Lilith, and he's not. He's just drinking the absinthe.
No, he talked to Vegapunk about the devil fruits. Like when Vegapunk was like looking at Luffy and his Nika transformation, and he's talking about the devil fruit encyclopedia and the green blood and all that. Franky had like a couple lines of exchange with Vegapunk, and that was it. I'm pretty sure that's all in the entire arc that they talked to each other. Which was like, wow. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, dude, if I was Franky, I'd be like, hey, Lilith, can I just, like, hook up to Punk Records with you or something? You're like, can you share the AirPod? I want to hear what they're saying. My heroes.
Explain something to me. You know, I mean, even, like, the light gloves that let you hit the holograms.
Yeah.
Like, if he could have just been like, wait, so how does that work exactly? And then there's, like, maybe 2 or 3 panels of, like, oh, let me explain it to you. Blah, blah, blah. This happens. And then Franky's like, oh, that's great. I could incorporate that into one of my, you know, inventions. And then Franky builds, like, a glove, or he builds some part of his, like, his body that's able to interact with light. And then that could have played into the Kizaru stuff. Franky learns that very quickly, builds like an upgrade for his suit, his body, and then Kizaru shows up, and then Franky uses his new invention to hold off Kizaru, even for one panel. That would be
even one panel would be good. Yeah,
just give me that, and I'm happy. You know,
yeah.
But whatever.
For me, I'm on the boat that Franky's just gonna get like a cloud ship with 1,000 Sunny, and you know, with Elbaph and, you know, getting the reveal of Yggdrasil and the whole thing where like, oh, maybe like the tree just goes up really high. It's like maybe that's how the 1,000 Sunny gets up there. Like they just eventually bring it up with clouds. But even then, it's like it's still a stretch. Like we still need Lilith to actually talk to him. Like, dude, if I was Franky and Lilith was on the ship, dude, I'd be a gooner, man. I'd just be talking to her 24/7. You know, I wouldn't leave her ass alone.
You'd be hovering Lilith the whole time. Yeah.
I'd be like taking notes, like every like little thing Lilith says, I'd be like writing it down.
Yeah, no, I mean, that would make sense for Franky's character. But you know, look, there's still a chance Lilith is there. If there is a whole Vegapunk thing with Kid, Franky's gonna be present for that, hopefully. So there might be something there as well. If the Yggdrasil tree is the Atom tree, well, that's the wood he used to build the Sunny. So maybe we get some more Franky stuff with that, or maybe he upgrades the Sunny in some way using that Atom wood, if that's from Elbaph, you know. So
it's all there.
That's the last opportunity, I think, to develop Franky before the end of the story.
It's like one of those things where like this isn't like derogatory, but like, you know, like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't let it drink. Like that's Oda. Like Oda's in front of a vast ocean. It's like, will he drink the water though? Will he do it?
I suspect it's the editors. I think it's the editors making him trim stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if he had plans for Egghead for like maybe a Franky chapter, but then the editors were like, "Nah, we don't need that."
Let's not waste the weak guy. We got to get out of here. I got a family outside of this, Oda. Please end One Piece.
Because we know that's how it works a lot of the time. Oda had probably bigger plans for Wano. Wano was supposed to be longer, if I had to guess, and it was the editors who forced him to cut it short very quickly, which is why that last stretch of chapters felt very rushed in comparison to the rest of the arc. They were still good chapters, but everything moved very, very quickly and concluded very quickly, it's a contrast considering it spent like 60 chapters doing setup and then like 10 chapters doing a resolution. So is it the editors doing that? We know that like in Logue Town, the editors forced Oda to cut the Daddy Masterson plot line, which is supposed to be in the story originally. There's things that they cut. There's things that they get him to remove, even though he wants to put it in there. So it could be that. That's what I'm, you know, so.
I wish Oda still did the, so for Daddy Masterson, he didn't get a chance to put that in the manga, but he did do like a little spin-off novel for it. And he showed like original designs and like his thoughts and ideas. I wish he still did that for every arc. Like, hey, I was going to do this. I was going to do that. But now we just get it like in like rough data books, like what is it, like not Volume 4 Billion, Road to Laugh Tale.
Road to Laugh Tale.
Like hey, here's some scenes with Yamato and Fuga. Here's by the way, Yamato, if Yamato talked to Kaido on a rooftop, this is what it would look like. It's like, what? Huh?
He might do that at the end of the story, like once it's all over. He might put out like a big book where he's like, okay, these are all the other things I wanted to do. Like this is all the behind the scenes.
Yeah,
you know, I could see that happening. You know, now you bring up Volume 4 Billion. I don't mean to take us off topic.
Oh, no, go for it.
But how do you feel about that? How do you feel about... So, like, everyone's sold on the Garling-Shanks connection.
Yeah.
However, were it not for Film Red, and were it not for Volume 4 Billion, no one would be making the Garling-Shanks connection right now. It's purely because of the movie and the little volume that said Shanks was at God Valley and was found there as a baby. And in the movie, they're like, oh, Uda is of the Figarland family. So they just straight up told us that Shanks is related to Figarland Garling. So how do you feel about that? How do you feel about the fact that we're getting incredibly core plot details in material that is not part of the manga? Because to me, it drives me nuts. I really wish we didn't know this about Garling. I wish it was a reveal saved for the manga. That would be way cooler. How do you feel about that?
Personally, okay. This is a hard one, right? Because Film Red is so like it can't be canon. Like that's like a cataclysmic event taught Musica. Like there's no way in any shape or form that's canon. But we do, like, we all agree like the Shanks thing is. And it's weird because like these movies have like hints of canon sprinkled within them. Like, you can go back to Strong World with Shiki and some of, like, Oda literally said, oh, because I gave Shiki the fruit in the movie, he's gonna have it if it comes into the story. It's like, okay, like, so yeah, that's canon for sure. Yeah. And then Figarland, you know, go to Z. We have, like, we saw the arm that Zephyr had. Now freaking, the Red King has that arm. You know, we heard about the Warlord stuff, and it's like, okay, like, I'm mixed.
Yep.
I think I'm okay with it because I like the movies a lot. But if I was just like another fan that didn't watch movies or didn't watch all of them, I'd be kind of annoyed. I'd be like, okay, I have to do this, right? It's like doing a side quest in a video game. For me, it's totally fine because I like the side quest. I actually was a hot take. I think Film Red is one of the better movies.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, that's a really hot take. Everybody I know does not like the movie. They don't like Uta.
I don't like it.
Hey,
yeah, I don't like Uta.
That is
a
fair opinion. That is very fair. I can see why people don't like it. I don't know why I do. I think it's because I've been following the artist for a while now. I like Uta to some extent. Yeah, I do like Otto.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. That's. I could see how you would enjoy it if you're getting her music and you like her music and it's a movie full of that. That I can understand.
Yeah, but it did feel like fanficky because, you know, obviously they have like 1,000 characters who did like one thing and then you never see them again. That's fine. But as far as the Garling thing, like I kind of do err on the side of liking it because it feels like something that's made for like the super fans, right? Like you have to kind of go out of your way to do this. It's almost, you know, people argue like, is gatekeeping good? And I would say in some instances it's not bad. Like it's something that a lot of people like, you know, if you're a super fan, then you'll know about the Garling thing. Yeah. But if you're not, then you're just going to hear about it from the grapevine and you're going to say, what the hell? I have to watch the movie now. Yeah, I guess it's another way to put seats in the, or what is it? Like put butts in the seats when it comes to the movies.
I'd agree with you if Garling didn't just become like a super important character like 2 chapters ago, you know? Like the fact that he's a Gorosei now and he's like, this is like a really important thing. And he's probably going to be even more important later. It's like, okay, if that's the case, you should have saved it, Oda. Like, that's not something you just give us as a throwaway line in a movie. And it's funny because, you know, the Gorosei are talking about the Figarland family in the movie, and now one of the Figarlands is among the Gorosei. So it's like, that's a pretty big...
Don't talk about him.
Yeah, it's like a pretty big thing. You know Uda's canon? Do you know that she's a canon character?
Yeah, she's what is it? Like when Shanks was thinking about the new era, he thought about like that small panel of Uta. So she is like where is she? Yeah. What the hell is she doing? Where is she?
Because the movie isn't canon, so where is she? What's she doing? And then that also upsets me because it's like, oh, Luffy, you're telling me that the reason Luffy wanted a musician on his crew is because he was friends with a VTuber as a kid? Like that's why?
Essentially it.
That's really what it was. Like he had this childhood friend who we've never ever heard about up until this movie came out, who like does not look like an ordinary person. Because like if you look at characters, especially in early One Piece, they're pretty grounded in reality. Like they're more like they feel like they fit the setting. Maybe I'm wrong. People could probably point out one stray character that looks too weird or whatever. Because Oda draws weird characters, but Uda's like she's like dressed in this like pop star outfit. She has like half red, half white hair. She has her like high tech headphones on. Like she looks like a character out of a completely different series. And she's just chilling in Fuchsia Village. And she's like Luffy's best friend. And Luffy like never mentions any of this. And like, I don't know. Like to me, it was just why? You know, like why is this canon? Why isn't Zephyr canon, for example? Zephyr feels like a character that should be canon from Film Z, but I don't think he is.
Yeah, so... and then with Zephyr, it's like he talked about like, oh, a warlord killed my family, and now you know he's you know he did have a devil fruit too, or wait, he did have a devil fruit? Yeah, he did have a devil fruit, and that's why he has like the crazy arm. But now it's like, wait, who the hell was that? You know, like,
did he have a devil fruit? I don't think he did.
I think
he was just raw. He was just super raw. Like that's.
Or no, like the person who killed Zephyr's family had a devil fruit, which is why like it makes it really muddied because it's like, who the hell is it then?
Yeah, we'll never know because he's not real.
He's not real.
He's not real. So yeah, that's the sad. That's what makes me upset about it because it's like of all the characters to make canon, this one felt like it shouldn't have been. And then you have characters that really fit perfectly into the world. This guy trained all the admirals when they were a young age. No, he's not real. Actually, Garp trained Aokiji, not Zephyr. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I like the guy though. I think he's cool. He feels like a real One Piece character, but Anyway, we're off topic. I don't mean to take us into
dude.
film territory. But
I tell everybody there is no off topic here on this channel. We just kind of like go with the flow. If we want to talk, go for it. But like the thing with like Film Red too, it's she has like a really broken ability, like the ability that engulfs the entire world. Yeah. That's insane. Like Oda said that like, oh, I gave Shiki this power in the movie, so I have to give it to him in the story. Will he feel the same way about Uta? Because there's no, like, dude, Uta sings and all of a sudden you're in a dreamland where you can die and she can summon an ancient demon. What?
Yeah.
She's basically God. We can never see her. I think that seals it. We can never see Uta.
She's never going to be a part of the story, and that's what drives me nuts about her being canon. Because why make a character canon if you're not going to actually use them in the canon material? It almost seems like it was done just because the movie was super, super successful. And they needed like, oh, everyone loves this new character. Let's tie her into the story somehow. But we're never going to see Uta. We're never going to see Uta in the One Piece story. I am convinced of that. Maybe in a cover story at best. But like, is Uta going to show up in the final war? And she's just going to like, never been introduced in the manga before. And then they're like about to raid Marijua. And then she's like, I'm here, guys. I'm going to sing. I'm going to sing concert music while you guys fight the greatest evil in the world. And like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys.
And then there's like there's the whole thing where, like when Film Red came out, we got I think 3 or 4 not cover pages, but like it was like a side page that promoted Film Red, and it's called Where the Wind Blows.
Yeah.
And you see Uta going around, and I guess this is like quote canon Uta, and she's just hanging out, like looking out a window, writing some songs, writing notes. And then you also see like this scene where it looks like people are saying it looks like it could be Luffy's mom, because they have like a kid that looks like Luffy. And it's like, what is going on here? Like, is this canon? It's not a cover page story. It's like just a thing on the side. It's I don't know.
It's probably like the chapter 0 thing with Shiki.
Yeah.
Because we had that one chapter that was like, it canonized Shiki from the movie to a degree. We didn't have all the events of the movie happen, but like at least his backstory, what he looked like, those things were made canon with chapter 0. So that's how I kind of feel about the Uta chapter or whatever, that little short thing. That's probably what they were going for.
Yeah, it's chapter 1057 on TCB, as I just looked it up. Mm-hmm. Like you got Kid Uta, like, and the Shanks pirates or the Red Hair pirates are singing to her, and then you have like a nameless woman who's singing, and it looks like baby Luffy right there. So it's we don't know. Something's going on there. Oda just wanted to bring Uta to the story.
Yeah, he really likes Uta, I think. Well, what do you think about the next One Piece movie? What do you think that's going to be like?
Have you seen like what Oda wanted to do with Film Red before he made it Film Red?
No.
It was Artur who like tweeted it out like a long time ago. Apparently, one of Oda's first ideas was to have Impel Down be a floating prison, or not floating, a flying prison, and it's a breakout with Bon Clay and Doflamingo.
Oh shit! Really?
It sounds like fan fiction, but I mean, if Artur is correct, I mean that's what it was supposed to be. Which obviously they went like a different route, but I don't want Impel Down breakout. I think I want that to be just straight up canon. I don't want it to be like in that weird realm of it's canon, but it's not canon. So personally, I would love if, I don't know, like the Jinbei voice actor said they're already filming, so it's really in the works. Yeah, this was last year. The Jinbei voice actor kind of spilled the beans that they're working on a new film. I don't really have like a good guess. I love the villains of One Piece. I would love like a Stampede-esque movie.
Yeah.
Where we're just bringing a lot of people. We fight one big bad guy and that's it. Like a lot of fan fiction just running rampant.
Have you noticed that a lot of the movies tend to mirror or like almost foreshadow events in the story? Like the framework for the movies have a lot in common with the arcs that follow the movies.
100%.
Like, yeah, because like you have the film Gold with the Doflamingo connection. You have Stampede, which is like almost like a sneak peek into what it's going to be like to fight Kaido, because that came out before the Kaido fight happened. And then when it happened, it was all the Worst Generation versus Kaido, just like the Worst Generation versus Bullet. Now with Film Red, how do we connect that into what's going on now? Well, maybe Uda has some connections to Emu, possibly, and the Egghead stuff that has happened. So if the and also Shanks, right? This is the point in the story where Shanks is coming back into the forefront. So Film Red kind of announced Shanks's return to One Piece as like a major force. So maybe the next movie is gonna have something to do with. I don't know. I mean, if it's gonna come out in the middle of Elbaf, I don't know if it's gonna be an Elbaf related film or it could be a Blackbeard related film, because Blackbeard, it's kind of getting to that time where he's gonna start also being a force to be reckoned with. So maybe it's like a movie about that. I don't know.
It could even be about an ancient race or like a lost tribe.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, we could go that route. Like maybe they find like a tribe or a race that's been extinguished. They find like the last survivor, and then it ties in with like the Void Century and like the rabbit hunting games.
Maybe it's a Buccaneer movie. Maybe it's a movie about the Buccaneers. They find like a lost group of Buccaneers, and we learn a little bit more about them.
I like that. I mean, mainly because like we need Buccaneers in the story. Like there's no like Kuma, man. Like there's no way the Buccaneer bloodline ends with him. I think there has to be more out there. Or Kuma just like, I don't know, plants his seed into somebody before he expires. Maybe Vegapunk has like
a man of God.
He's a man of God. Hey,
he's a man of God. I don't think he was.
Maybe Vegapunk has like a whole room in Punk Records that's just filled with like Kuma's DNA or like his, his white substance just ready to go. Like the man from Don't Breathe.
His lineage factor.
Yeah. Dude, imagine that's the lineage factor. Like, hey, we have the lineage factor here.
I mean, how did they made S Bear? They made S Bear with something. They had to have DNA for that, right? Yeah, so
Kuma, go to the bathroom, come back in 10 minutes.
The reason I say Buccaneers is because they have giant blood, don't they? Like, if we're in Elbaf, we're in the giant arc right now, and if you're going to do a movie about, like, a lost tribe of people, and we just learned about the Buccaneers in the story, could be a movie that focuses on them a little bit, expands on the Buccaneer lore, and then it connects to Elbaf somehow,
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's my train of thought. Another ancient giant like Oars and Oars Jr., and then we learn, like, their connection to the Buccaneers. I think that could totally work. And that'd be like an ancient giant villain that could just tie in with Elbaf too. Yeah.
It's like the movie isn't about the giants, but it's about like their kind of like satellite related races, like the ancient giants and the Buccaneers. Yeah, they're cousins, and it's like all about them. And then the arc in One Piece is focused on the Elbaf giants, the main giants. I could see that. Yeah.
Here, last question to end off on, but the Holy Knights, brother. Are you expecting some good things from them? It can be power-wise. It can be like, in terms of organization. Like, how do you feel about the Holy Knights? Because we have not seen that. We've seen the Gorosei's goddamn transformations before the Holy Knights. Is this Oda hyping up the Holy Knights, or is this going to be like a Toby Roppo situation where, no, they're just going to be like very middle of the road? They're not middle of the road, but like they're not going to be as impressive as like the All-Stars, Like, how do you feel about them?
Yeah. I would have said, if you asked me before Garling became a Gorosei, I would have said they were going to be very important on their own. I think the Holy Knights, the way I've interpreted them, is they're the internal affairs organization of the world government.
Yeah.
Because when you have celestial dragons that don't have to answer to anybody else in the world, who do they answer to if they screw up? Because they can still screw up, right? As we saw with Mjosgard, if you defend the people of the peasants, basically, or fishmen, or whoever the world government has written off, that's a crime in marriage law. You can't do that. So how do you enforce that rule? Well, you have to have some celestial dragons who have authority over other celestial dragons. So the God Knights are effectively the CIA of the world government. If you want to look at like Cypherpol as like one of like the 3-letter agencies, it's like, oh, this is like an FBI thing. The God Knights are like a CIA thing, or vice versa. And the way I see it is like, Garling was introduced as the leader of the God Knights. He's the most important like Holy Knight, right? We saw the whole thing at God Valley and all that. And what was the culmination of that? Garling becomes one of the Gorosei. So his role as a Holy Knight was just to kind of like, as the leader of the Holy Knights, was to segue into his role as an elder. The rest of them, I think it's like a Toby Roppo thing, like you said. I don't think they're going to be as important as Garling was. They're just kind of like his organization. And I'm pretty sure he's still going to run the Holy Knights. Like, he didn't
100%.
assign a boss. He's a Gorosei and the boss of the Holy Knights simultaneously. So they're still going to answer to him. It's going to be like the Toby Roppo. In my perfect world, they would be more something closer to like the Akatsuki or something, but I know they're never going to reach that level of cool, or like,
it's hard.
They're not going to do that. So they're going to be just like a Tobiropo thing. A bunch of bad guys. When we go to the final war, I wouldn't be surprised if we never see the Holy Knights again until we're in Marijois, right there. And then we get the reveal of all the Holy Knights. And they're there to fight the more minor enemy or the more minor protagonists like the Straw Hats or Sabo or like, revolutionaries. They're going to fight the Holy Knights,
I like that. I mean, and if Garling does promote somebody, then I could totally see it being his quote, the guy that looks like Shanks' silhouette, right?
Yeah, true.
And then even then, like, if that happens, Garling would still be controlling the Holy Knights if they're related too.
Yeah, do you believe in the Shanks twin theory? Do you think that's...
I don't think it's like necessarily a twin. I could see like a brother.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of like a Sabo Stelly situation where, Shanks was supposed to be like the number one kid, and then Shanks got stolen or like kidnapped or misplaced on God's Valley, and then Garling said, well, the bloodline can't end with me, I gotta have one more. Which makes sense.
I'm not sold on that, like the twin thing, but I am sold on him having another kid, like you said, because like their bloodline has to continue. That's like a big thing.
Or
right.
Yeah, or maybe we're talking about an older brother. Maybe the older brother is jealous that the younger brother was gonna like take his fame or take attention away from mom and dad, so that's why Shanks ended up in a chest. The kid was like, oh, like, let me just get rid of him. Let me just put him in a chest, and I don't have to worry about like little Shanks anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah,
that's a cool idea, and it would kind of mirror the Doflamingo Rocinante thing, where it's like two kids are born from a celestial dragon. One of them is good, one of them is bad.
Yeah,
you have Shanks and his brother, because like Garlic wouldn't just stop making kids. If he lost his kid and his kid became a pirate, he wouldn't be satisfied with his bloodline becoming a bloodline of pirates after him. He would definitely want to make another kid and keep his family in the Holy Land, right? So like it's not a crazy idea that Shanks has a brother. Whether or not that's the guy that showed up talking to the Gorosei in that one chapter, I don't know, because that guy looked a lot like Shanks. And
will they be 1-to-1? I hope they're not 1-to-1. I don't want to get confused,
Yeah, I don't want identical twins. That's a little too much for me. But
yeah, maybe like maybe it could be like Shanks, but with like a different hair color, maybe a different hairstyle, like like the Sanji brothers. Yeah. Oh, maybe not the whale tail. No, not the whale tail. No.
What if he got like the moon? Like he has like a little crescent, like Garling, like he does the same kind of thing.
I wouldn't mind that. Yeah, the crescent like Garling. I'm trying to think, like, minus the moon, like, what could he be? Like what kind of hair could we be looking at?
He could have like a star shape hair. He could have like like Rockstar, on the Shanks crew.
Oh yeah.
He has spikes. Yeah, maybe he has like that. He has like
it could be
star formation.
Shanks' hair is down. The guy, his brother's hair is up. I could see that.
Yeah.
What if Rockstar is his brother? He's been hiding the entire time. It's Rockstar, guys.
It was me the whole time. I've been your brother, Shanks. I came onto your crew. I was hiding with my 40 million bounty. You'd never think it was me. He has like the ultimate conqueror's hockey. He just destroys all of Shanks's crew. Yeah,
wouldn't that be kind of nuts? Just like Rockstar's like the hidden brother. Like he fixes his hair and then he's like, Shanks, it's me. I've been here this entire time.
If he's Dark Shanks, I'm moving on. I'm gonna start reviewing Naruto. I'm just gonna move on to another. Like I'm gonna review Boruto. I'm done. Like if Rockstar is Dark Shanks,
people are gonna say it's been foreshadowed since like chapter 1 because his name's Rockstar, dude. It was there the whole time. It's Elder Stars, man. Come on.
Goda. Oh, he's such a genius.
That's crazy.
Yeah. No, I would tap out.
Rockstar has a bounty of 94 million. It's not bad.
Nice. Yeah, he's a big shot.
He's a big shot
in East Blue. He
would give Crocodile a run for his money in Alabasta.
Yeah, he's on the East Blue PR. That's good for him.
Man, it's funny that, we still get Rockstar. Like, he still has the same position. Like, even, what is it? Like, even on Elbaf, he was like, hey, Shanks, kid, he wouldn't listen to us. Mm-hmm. It's like, damn, dude, like, you're still the messenger?
Do you think he's ever going to have another line in the story? Like, do you think he's going to have an opportunity to say or do anything for the rest of the story?
So. I hope he gets like a nice I hope he gets a nice 1v1 with somebody.
Yeah, that's like a solid. I don't even know whose matchup that would be.
Like imagine Garling tries to fight
Bartolomeo.
Shanks, and then Rockstar's like, wait a minute, before you fight the boss, you have to deal with me.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
something
Shanks is about to
silly.
deal the blow on Garling, and then Rockstar like comes in and blocks it, and it's like you just see a hockey clash, and he's like, "It was me, Shanks. I'm your brother."
Stop, brother! Don't kill our father. Yeah, just something so stupid.
How could you?
I would love that.
Yeah, yeah.
The fan base would they'd either eat it up or they would spit it out. I don't know.
They would hate that. I think
think
everyone
so?
would hate that. You guys watching this, you would hate that, right? I would hate that.
I love dumb things, so I think
Oh yeah.
I would be such a troll, and I'd be like, yo, this is the best plot development
This
I've
is
ever
fire.
seen.
Oh, this is awesome.
fire.
Oda cooked here. Yeah.
Rockstar.
Yeah, I would do a stream. I haven't been streaming my chapter reactions. If I hear any whisper of Rockstar being important, I'm streaming that chapter.
Yeah,
I'll
you're
do
making
it.
a comeback, huh?
Yeah. I'll make a comeback to chapter reactions with that one.
What you should do is like you should have like a trash can in the back of your room, just set it on fire so it's constantly just there's hot trash in the
Yeah,
back.
just fumigating my apartment. After that
Yeah.
shit.
Oh man. All right, so that is where we're gonna end it. Do you have any final thoughts? Any last things you want to touch on before we head out of here?
Not really.
It's
I'm
hard to
excited.
follow up Rockstar. I know.
Yeah, I know, right? That's how do you come off of that and say anything even close to as important? No, I like where we're going with Elbaf. It's an interesting start. The lore, we're already getting into Nordic lore in like the first chapter of Elbaf, so I'm sure Oda has more crazy references and stuff up the sleeve. We're gonna get some more Nordic like name drops of like mythical creatures and stuff. So I'm excited. One thing I will say about this arc, I kind of miss having a little bit of an in-between where we go from one arc to the next one. It felt like we just got off Egghead. We got to party with the Giants for like 30 seconds, and then we're already at Elbaf.
Yeah.
And in the past, like, you know, in early One Piece, you would have things like Nami became sick, and now we need to find a doctor. And there's just a chapter focusing on Nami being sick at sea, and them trying to navigate without her help. Then there's a chapter. Oh, they before they go right to Skypiea, they have a little pit stop at Jaya, and there's like a whole development of that. Like, I don't know. To me, I wish we had more of that. I know that we're trying to get to the end. It feels like we jumped right into Elbaf, and I hope that Oda's going to give us some more intermediary chapters with like maybe let's catch up with Law. What's going on with Law right now? Did he get found by the Marines? Is he gonna, did he get his life saved? Like what's happening with him? Kid will find out about on Elbaf, but like what's going on with Garp? Like these things I care about and I want to see more before we jump right into the next arc. So we'll see. I'm still excited either way. I think this is going to be a really, really good one if Egghead is anything to go by. Elbaf, Oda's been working up to this. He has big plans. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same. I feel like the whole fan base would agree with that take. Like, we want more chapters with the Straw Hats, having fun, fleshing them out. Like, even the small adventures are meaningful, right? Like, that's why people like pre-time skip, because we got a lot of that. Like, it felt natural in a way. And we did hop into Elbaf, and it's unfortunate because I'm on the same boat where I would love to see updates around the world. I would even love it if we got a chapter where it was like, leaving Wano, we had a chapter where it was like, oh, like, this is Luffy's dream, by the way. And it's like, wait, what the hell? So, yeah, like, just small moments like that are really nice.
Don't you think Luffy should have got a bounty update after what happened at Egghead?
I think he did get a bounty update. I just think they didn't see it yet.
Okay. Yeah, because he deserves one. After that shit, he needs a bounty update. Like that's some serious criminal allegations there. You can't
most wanted, man.
Yeah, right? Like that is deserving of a serious bounty update. So like we didn't get that yet. Maybe we will. But I don't know. It's like that's kind of what I think that we need a little bit more. But we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
I was gonna say one other thing about Elbaf. I'm trying to remember. Maybe I can't remember.
Oh no, you're good. Here, I was just gonna say that, like, with the Straw Hats as well, like, and Oda trying to end the story pretty quick. Like, it's like you said, Oda 5 years ago said he wanted to end the story in 5 years. Like, we are in that year. Like, Oda thought by this point, like today, he would be done. But he's not. He's still in Elbaf. We still have the final war. We still have so much to go. And it's like, yeah, like Oda, he's mentioned how he's bad with timelines, but it is there. Like, Oda wants to stop doing One Piece, and I can't blame him because he's been doing this for years and years now. Like when Oda started this when he was like 18 years old or however old he was, there's no way he thought it was going to be like, you know, take up 25, 28, 30 years of his life. Like that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely grown in scope beyond what he thought it would. And I can't blame him for wanting to finish it. I guess to tie back, I remember what I was going to say, to tie back to the intermediary chapters, like I guess I get why he would want to just move on and get this over with. At the same time, we haven't been able to have the Straw Hats be together for a long time.
Yeah.
Like as a full crew unit. And now they're split up again. So like,
oh yeah.
You know, that's kind of where I'm at. It's like, oh, we already jumped into the arc. They're split up again. We can't even enjoy having the crew together. Maybe we will once they're going to Laugh Tale. Everyone's together. That's when we're going to get the big crew stuff. But I don't know. That's where I'm at. I definitely understand like what you said. Oda, he's been saying over and over One Piece is going to end in this amount of time. He doesn't meet that date. He has to extend it and extend it and extend it. And now we're at 1,100 chapters. If I had to guess, we're going to end at maybe 12 or 1,300 chapters. So we have a ways to go.
Yeah.
And I can't blame him for wanting to just get on with it and get to the end. But I hope he doesn't rush it, because this has been 20 plus years in the making. And for him to take his time with all that, and then when you have to stick the landing to rush right up to that point, it almost defeats the purpose of the last 20 years of slow burn setup. So
I agree.
I hope, yeah, you know.
It's just you know, one last thing too. I always remember this and I kind of laugh a little bit, and it's kind of sad, but it's like Oda. He talked about how, you know, he sees all of his friends like Kishimoto, the author of Naruto. He sees how he can just hang out with his family and they go to the park. And Oda said whenever he thinks about that or sees happy families in a park, he tears up a little bit. I'm like, damn, that's sad.
That's
something. Yeah. Yeah,
you know what, Oda?
He said when he's
finish.
done. Yeah,
you can finish, bro.
You can finish.
You know what?
This is the last chapter.
After hearing about that, you can make Elbaph like 10 chapters. I'm cool. Like,
he just wants to go on vacation with his family. He has like, he has like 3 kids or something.
Yeah, he has a family, he has a wife and kids, and he's not really he doesn't have the time to enjoy that. So I'm sure he gets to see them. Yeah, but that's sad. I don't know. Oda, if you're watching this, you can make like the rest of One Piece. You can do it in like 20 chapters, bro. I don't care.
Actually, Shanks, who's that? Forget that guy.
You know what? Yeah, you got it, bro. It's all you.
It's one of those things where like Oda has so much money, but I feel like he doesn't have that much time to spend it.
No.
Yeah.
That's all retirement. That's retirement money. Yeah.
He's just thinking about like the yachts he's gonna go on, like the Super Titanic.
Oh, dude! Once he finishes One Piece, he's not making another manga. He's already achieved his magnum opus. This is the best-selling manga of all time, one of the most popular pieces of Japanese media on the entire planet. He's set. He doesn't have to succeed it. So once he's done, this has been 20 plus years of work, 1,300 chapters. Dude is not touching the pen ever again unless he wants to just draw something for fun. He's going to spend the rest of his life enjoying a very happy retirement with all this tons of money, and hopefully that means he's going to travel and he gets to visit, you know, New York, and I get to shake his hand one day. I don't know, but
he's just going to go to California, New York, have fun.
Yeah, he's going to travel the world like Luffy. He's going to do real pirate stuff.
Yeah, so. I mean, hopefully he's still in good health by that time. Like, imagine he gets out, his back is broken, like he can't walk anymore. Yeah. He's like, oh, I always wanted to go to these places, but now it's too late. I can't enjoy it.
I think he's gonna need some time to rest. Once it's done, I'll say this: the moment he drops that final chapter, that night he's gonna sleep like a baby. He's gonna probably either he's not gonna be able to sleep because he's just so like excited that he finished, or he's going to lay down in bed and he's going to sleep for the next 48 hours straight. That man is like, that's years and years of work coming to an end. I can't wait for him to have that day. I really it's going to be a great feeling for him, I'm sure.
I bet everybody will be able to see like the arthritis leaving his hands too. Like you just look at his hands and it's like steaming a little bit. Yeah. Just arthritis just leaving his body.
It says gear second on his hand.
Yeah, it's finally over. Yeah. If you had as much money as Oda, what would you do with it? Like, would you become like part robot?
Would I become part robot? Yourself? I mean, if that's an option, maybe.
Like Cyberpunk?
No, I'd probably, honest answer, I'd probably I don't know. I'd probably donate a lot of it to charity. I think that if you have that much money, you can live with a good chunk of it gone and you won't even notice. And then the rest of it, I would probably just use on my family. I don't know. I really don't have I don't have any big grandiose thing I would want to do with all that money. I really don't know what I would do. Half of it is like, part of me would just be like, oh, do the smart thing and invest it. And the other thing is like, oh, give your kids a good college education and get a decent, nice house with a pool in the backyard. Like, that's all I'm really thinking about. Just have a nice pool in my backyard, a nice house, pay for my groceries, get my kids in college. And then the rest of it, if it's just going to sit there, I might as well just, give it to people who need it. I don't know. Like, I know that kind of sounds like the very milk toast answer, like, oh, someone wrote that for you or whatever. But no, I really don't know what I would do with that much money. Oda's very rich. That's something that you gotta think about. Like, he is very, very rich. If I had that much money, I don't know what I would. I really wouldn't have any. I definitely wouldn't be doing Diddy parties. That's all I can say. Oh
god, no, yeah. Like, maybe you can one up them. 2,000 bottles of lotion or baby oil.
Oh, this
dude! Did you see the pictures of it? He has cabinets and like glass cases just for the baby oil.
Absolutely disgusting.
My god, nasty! Dude, it's gonna smell horrible in there.
Bro, life in prison is not enough for that, dude. I'm just saying, like if you have that much money and that's what you're using it for, you're doing all this abuse.
Yeah.
I mean, look, not to end on a super dark topic,
no, that's fine.
But like, I'm just saying, like, if I had that kind of money, I would not be doing that shit. And I don't even know. Yeah.
I don't know. I was about to say, like, I think your answer is like an answer that resonates with most people. Like, I'm the same way. Like, if I had that money, start a family, buy a nice house, and then that's kind of it. I think a lot of people, like, at the end of the day, that's all they really want, just to be well taken care of. Normal life. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with the normal life. Come home, play some games, watch a movie. That's it. Yeah. You're chilling. You don't really need much more.
To be honest, all I really would want to do with a lot of money is to be able to, like, have a nice enough house where if I wanted to hang out with my friends and have a barbecue, we could have like a really nice chill barbecue in the backyard, have some drinks, go in the pool, like just enjoy a sunny day, maybe go to like a Knicks game, get some like front row seats at a Knicks game. That's what I would do with that money. I would just go do shit that I want to do right now. I just don't have the money to do it right now. I'm in an apartment. I don't want to be in an apartment anymore. I want to have a house. That's pretty much it. Like that's like where I'm at, I don't really have any. Yeah. So.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know how somebody gets to the Diddy level of like, hey, let me just diddle everybody. Like,
yeah, well, some people get power and they get money for the wrong reasons and they seek it out for the wrong reasons. I'm sure he was always this type of person.
He was always planning. I'm sure that
he was always the type of person to do that type of thing, and he would always have given that power, it would have always turned out this way. Bad people are bad people from the start. Someone that terrible is bad down to their core. This man wanted the money to be able to do these things. That's the way I see it. And unfortunately, it's it's that type of evil that drives people to more power. That's how people get power a lot of the times, is that they want to use power for malicious reasons to benefit themselves, and then they really dedicate their life to obtaining that power, and that's what he did. So it might say something about why a lot of good people in the world don't happen to be rich. It's because they don't dedicate every waking moment of their life to scheming on how to get all this money and wealth and power to abuse other people. So maybe it says something about that. I don't know how he got to that point, but I think he was always I think he's always just a bad person.
Yeah, I
agree.
Especially
I mean, this is going back to Tupac and Biggie. He put the hit out on Tupac. That was years and years ago. And he was doing this type of shit. So he was always like that.
I love that all of the interviews and the movie clips are coming back out and they're like, yo, like, we should have just looked at this and said, hey, like, maybe something's up. Like, there's one movie where Diddy's chasing like Seth Rogen, like, come back here. Come back. You can't leave me. It's like, oh my God. And then, the whole Mike Tyson thing.
Yeah. Mike Tyson moving his hand.
Yeah. And then Diddy's like looking around like, oh, Mike Tyson, please let me put my hand on your thigh. I own you.
It was always there. It was always there, bro. The signs were always there. And I think people, it's a very common theme when something comes out and someone gets exposed as like a terrible person, and then everyone goes back through the history and they look at examples. You'll notice that a lot of it was in plain sight and people just
gloss over it.
For whatever reason, gloss over it or didn't really think much of it, or maybe they just didn't have enough proof. But like, it's the signs are always there.
Yeah.
So,
hey,
Celestial dragons are real, bro.
Yeah,
Celestial dragons are very real. They're not a fantasy concept. That's something we got to learn very quickly.
If you were in the world of One Piece, what would you want to be? Like a celestial dragon, marine, rev, pirate, civilian? Like what would you want to be?
I feel like I've heard you ask this question before, and your answer was I would be a celestial dragon, which is the most out of pocket shit.
Yeah, we're over here like, we condemn P. Diddy. We don't like when people abuse people. But let me tell you, I'd make a hell of a celestial dragon.
I would make a good celestial dragon. No, if I was in the world of One Piece, I would probably be a pirate. I would literally be my avatar. I would be a pirate that is not like I'm not
a gentleman.
I'm not
pirate.
going out. Yeah, I would be a bartender. I'd probably have a speakeasy for pirates. I would make a little.
Zeph.
Yeah, I would be like a Zeph like bar owner or whatever, and I just have pirates from all over come to my little spot. I would share, stories I've heard from other pirates. Like what I would love to do is sit behind the bar, listen to all these pirates tell me about their adventures, and then share those stories with other pirates who come in the bar.
Like the guy from Logtown.
Yeah, pretty much exactly. Like the guy from Logtown, kind of mixed with Zeph. And then if anyone came in there, looking for a free drink, trying to screw with me, trying to stick up the bar, I would have a devil fruit. I would just bust their ass. I would be like a pirate. I would be a pirate bartender, but it would be like a little safe speakeasy for pirates that are like, they need a spot to chill on their journey. You've been out at sea for a week. You need a place to stop, grab a drink and relax. That's where the hidden island comes in. You could stop by. That's what I would do.
Damn, the name and everything, it all ties in. I love the little intro you have too. It's always good.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
For me, like celestial dragon's like my meme answer because I think it would be fun to be like rule people. But outside of that, like I'd be a marine, a good marine, not a bad one, but I'd want to actually help people. Because while there are good pirates like you out there, like we do have like the Doflamingos, we have the Caribous. Like I'd want to be like a Kobe-esque guy. Not Kobe's kind of like a soy boy, but I'd be a little bit better than Kobe. I'd be like an Akainu disciple or something. But I'd want to actually help people.
Okay. No, I like that. That's a good answer. Garp is like one of my favorite characters. Good Marines are dope characters.
Yeah.
Fujitora is a dope character. Smoker is a dope character. They're like some of the most respectable people in the story.
Yeah.
Because they believe in what they say they are. Like they're representing justice. They have a real stake in justice, and it's not just about hurting people. It's about helping people. So I like that.
I threw a little bit of a Kainu in there because I don't think he's like the best guy out there, but like he does have like some things where like maybe the simplest answer is the best, but like I think there's like a perfect middle ground between like a Garp and an Akainu, and I don't know. I just want to help people at the end of the day. I think that's it.
Kind of feels like a Fujitora to me, honestly.
Yeah.
Like Garp is like at one end of the spectrum, and Fujitora, I think he wouldn't shy away from like, if Fujitora had to do something that was not very nice, he would do it if it was on his orders. A lot of the time he gambles to determine what he's gonna do. He was like, he's like, am I gonna do this really horrible thing or am I gonna let them go? Well, let's just flip a coin and see what it is. Like he's willing to do it. Yeah, he's willing to do it. He's just, he has a sense of honor and justice. So I respect that. I like Fujitora.
Dude, when Sudo and Sengoku showed up to Dressrosa, and he was like, I've just been rolling this dice every day, and if it's a 1, I let him go. It's like, I don't even use my devil fruit powers, man. This guy's just lucky. I love that scene, man. It's so good.
Yeah. He's one of the best.
But hey, thank you again, Hidden Island. I really appreciate your time. Coming by on the channel first time ever. Sticking around for 2 hours ish. It really means a lot, man. Thank you so much for the conversation. I had a lot of fun. You're a great guy.
Thank you, man. Yeah, me too. I had a lot of fun. I really appreciate you inviting me onto the channel. We'll definitely do this again. I'm happy to do conversations anytime like this. I read a chapter, especially now I haven't been streaming my reactions. I read a chapter and I kind of just have these thoughts that I don't often make into videos. So it's good to have a place to just talk about it and tell you what I'm thinking. Yeah, vent it. I really enjoyed this. This is a great conversation. You're a great dude. If anyone's coming to this video from my channel, and you haven't subbed to Sai and you haven't checked out his stuff already, please do that. He really does. He makes content consistently. He's streaming with Parvision all the time. This guy's in it, man. He's really, really always about being on time with talking about the newest events with One Piece. I know you do spoiler discussions sometimes too. So if I know I have a bunch of spoiler like readers that are in my Discord, that are in my channel. This is the guy to go to. So yeah, definitely give him a follow, sub, support him. Great guy.
It's a two-way street, brother. If you guys are here as well, make sure to check out Hidden Island. He has great One Piece theories. Love his thumbnails. I don't know why. Like, that was the first thing that always stood out to me. Like, I like the intro. I like the thumbnails. I like the editing. It's all unique. Like, I remember when I got into One Piece theories, I'm like, okay, like, what do other people do? I need to copy that. But I feel like Hidden Island, he's found his own flow, and that's very rare to see nowadays. Not like it's a bad thing to not find your own flow, but, you know, like, it's still rare. It's unique. I love what he does, man. And like I said, overall, great guy. And thank you guys for being here and watching the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys in the future. Peace out.
Peace out, guys.